Hey, what's up everybody? cmdrradix here bringing you another video. The classical Western literary tradition begins with Homer. His epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, form the bedrock upon which the edifice of Western storytelling rests. To understand Homer is to understand the roots of our civilization's imagination, its concept of heroism, its grappling with fate, honor, and divine will. His influence has echoed down the centuries, shaping not just high literature, but even, in some surprising ways, the moral framework of the West. Thus, even the most modern of stories, those clothed in the garb of science fiction and populated by sentient machines, remain tethered, perhaps unknowingly, to the Homeric inheritance. One such story is that of the Transformers, a franchise born in the late 20th century that, despite its pop culture vibes, participates in the ancient literary tradition founded by Homer. Today, we'll explore how Transformers, through its symbolic structures, its depiction of protracted war, its fall of a world motif, and its classical aesthetic, stands downstream from the Homeric tradition. At the heart of both the Iliad and Transformers lies a long and bitter war. The Trojan War, immortalized by Homer, tells the tale of a contest of arms and how that can serve as a crucible of character. In Transformers, the civil war between Autobots and Decepticons mirrors this. Like the Achaeans and Trojans, the Autobots and Decepticons are not simple binaries of good and evil. While many iterations of Transformers may cast the Autobots in their role as the unequivocally heroic figures and the Decepticons as evil forces, there are some more nuanced portrayals of the two warring sides, especially in the IDW Hasbro universe, for example, which reveals moral complexity on both sides. IDW Megatron, for instance, is not merely a tyrant, but someone whose rise was born of real grievances against the corrupt Autobot elite. Now, it goes without saying that these more modern portrayals of the Autobots and Decepticons, which I admit I am getting tired of, come from more post-modern trends deconstructing morality. It is worth noting that this is completely coherent with the Homeric tradition. Despite being a Greek himself, Homer does not depict a war between Greeks and Trojans in which the Greeks are the virtuous heroes and the Trojans being the devils. Hector, Troy's foremost defender, is no villain but a paragon of martial and familial virtue. His death at the hands of Achilles is tragic not merely for his side, but for humanity itself. It's why Hector is commemorated as one of the 9 worthies in the medieval Christian tradition. In Homer, there is no monopoly on heroism. Likewise, in Transformers, characters like Starscream, Soundwave, and even Megatron himself are not caricatures, but can become tragic figures consumed by ambition, loyalty, or bitterness. This mutual portrayal of honor and fallibility shows that Transformers, consciously or not, is participating in a literary tradition that prizes moral complexity over mere spectacle. Another key Homeric echo is the fall of a great city. The Iliad ends before Troy actually falls, but its demise is an ever-present reality. The fall of Troy becomes the narrative bridge between Homer and Virgil, between the Iliad and the Aeneid, wherein Aeneas flees the ruins of Ilium to found a new people in Italy, the Romans. Similarly, the fall of Cybertron is a thematic linchpin in Transformers lore. Whether in the beginning of the 1986 Transformers the movie, the opening of Transformers Dark of the Moon, or the more nuanced and grounded IDW Hasbro universe, Cybertron is portrayed as a once great world brought low by war, either occupied, destroyed, or rendered inhabitable. Its inhabitants are scattered, exiled, and in search of new homes. Optimus Prime and his followers, like Aeneas and his Trojans, are both warriors and refugees. The Autobots' quest on Earth is not to defeat the Decepticons alone, but also to preserve the memory and possibility of Cybertronian civilization. Very often, Earth ends up being a sort of hope for the future, being rich in energon reserves or other cosmic MacGuffins that could restore Cybertron to a habitable state. The parallels here are obvious. Both narratives understand the trauma of civilizational collapse and the longing for home. Just as Aeneas carries his household gods and the memory of Troy across the sea, so too does Optimus Prime carry the Matrix of Leadership, a relic of his people's past and a symbol of civilizational continuity. If the Iliad is a story of war, the Odyssey is a story of wandering. Odysseus, the man of many turns, is defined by his long and arduous journey home. His tale is one of endurance, cunning, and the confrontation with alien worlds. This theme is replicated in Transformers through the repeated motif of exile, exploration, and adaptation. Autobots and Decepticons alike traverse the cosmos, crash-landing on alien worlds, adapting to new environments, and encountering strange peoples. One thing I enjoyed about the IDW Hasbro universe was the phase in which we saw different stories of different Cybertronians encountering different planets and civilizations. They are a race of refugees scattered to all corners of the galaxy, dealing with all different types of people. Earth, for the Cybertronians, is both exile and opportunity. Like Odysseus on the shores of the Phaeacians or among the Lotus Eaters, the Transformers must navigate a world not their own, fraught with danger and possibility. Their very name, Transformers, encapsulates the Odyssean theme of adaptability. They must literally change form to survive, a metaphor for the deeper moral and psychological transformations they undergo. Like Odysseus, they must be wise and cunning to survive. Odysseus' disguise as he returns home to Ithaca, making it to his palace in disguise before revealing that he is more than meets the eye, comes to mind. The aesthetic of Transformers is surprisingly classical. Names like Optimus Prime carry a distinctly Roman flavor. Optimus evokes the Latin for best or most noble, while Prime signifies a first principle or leader, akin to princeps or primus inter pares. Even the Decepticon warship is called the Nemesis, a direct reference to the Greek goddess of divine retribution. Such allusions reinforce the mythic dimensions of the story. Moreover, the visual design of many Transformers carries echoes of classical armor and heraldry. Ironhide's helmet resembles a hoplite helmet, for example. The sleek forms and color-coded identification recall the shields and crests of Greek warriors. The very designs of the Transformers is a continuation of the tradition of hero iconography that stretches back to Homeric similes, comparing warriors to lions, boars, and fire. Heck, a lot of Transformer names sound similarly structured to Homeric epithets. Imagine if we called Achilles Swiftfoot, Odysseus City Sacker, and Zeus as Dark Cloud. Which reminds me, did you know that the names we know the Cybertronians by are not actually their real names? In the Marvel Comics continuity, Jazz points out that his actual name cannot be pronounced by humans. Perhaps the names we know the Transformers by literally are Homeric-style epithets and not their actual names. An interesting thought. Another thing that makes Homer foundational is his moral vision. The Iliad teaches heroism as arete. It is found in Achilles' martial prowess, Hector's loyalty, and Priam's dignity and supplication. Transformers partakes in this tradition by framing heroism not as conquest but as self-sacrifice. Optimus Prime is a quintessential Homeric hero in this regard. He is mighty in battle, but his greatness lies in his self-denial, his self-emptying, his unwavering commitment to a cause greater than himself and for others. He dies, repeatedly, not for glory but to preserve order and to protect the innocent. Of course, this is not simply a Homeric ideal, as it points to something even higher, but we won't get into that in this video. I plan to explore this idea more further in my Symbolism of Transformers series. Even Megatron in some iterations is a tragic hero. His descent into tyranny is sometimes from a corrupted idealism. Like Achilles, who returns to battle not for justice but for wrath, Megatron is a figure whose virtue curdles into vices. In this way, Transformers reflects the Western canon's insistence that heroism is complex and often double-edged. It is easy to dismiss Transformers as mere entertainment, yet this would be to ignore the essential truth that myths adapt to their age. Homer was once sung by bards to warrior kings. Today's myths are broadcast to children and adults alike through animation and cinema. The form has changed, but the function remains. These stories explain our world, provide moral exemplars, and link us to a shared past. The modern storyteller is heir to Homer, whether he knows it or not. To read the classics is an act of cultural memory. It reveals the lineage of ideas, the genealogy of tropes, and the shared humanity that persists across time. Transformers, in all its iterations, participates in this legacy. It tells of war, loss, and loyalty. It tells the themes of Homer. In an age where tradition is often discarded in favor of novelty, recognizing the Homeric roots of Transformers reminds us that the past still speaks. Stories are not created ex nihilo, but rather grow from a soil enriched by centuries of thought, belief, and narrative craft. To see Homer in Transformers is to affirm that the Western canon remains vital, even in the circuitry of robots in disguise. In reading Transformers with Homeric eyes, we discover the perennial themes of our civilization: the tragedy of war, the nobility of sacrifice, the pain of exile, and the hope of renewal. These are the inheritance of all who participate in the tradition. In that sense, every viewer of Transformers is also, however distantly and to however little degree, a reader of Homer. The tradition endures, and in its endurance, it offers us orientation. But that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. This is one of my first analysis videos of Transformers through a different lens. This is definitely a different type of video. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe if you have not yet. Follow me on social media. All the links are in the description, and have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.